Siapa ni aku ni? Aku an entrepreneur. There's a dark past about me. It all started bila primary 6. Okay, aku dah terjebak dengan gangsterism tu. Dan dulu muka aku semua ada tattoo. So at sec 1, I didn't know what crossed my mind. Aku nak cari weapon lah. I didn't took that incident seriously. Dia Ayo datang kat aku kan, dia terus cakap dengan aku, you know not, this case apa kau buat ni is a very very serious offence. Kalau that point of time RTC reject aku akan be imprisonment for 7 years and 16 strokes of the kill. Siapa Hassan Rahman sebenarnya? Yo, what's good? I'm Hassan Rahman and this is the Rebuild Podcast. Okay, so this is the first episode ever for Rebuild the Podcast. And actually aku memang dah plan months. Okay, previously aku ada plan with someone that we wanted to have a podcast of our own, but somehow it didn't happen. Okay, so this is where aku decided to run the podcast alone, where basically aku will share a lot of my journey. Okay, aku ni pun bukan siapa-siapa lah. Okay, it's just that aku nak share dengan orang my journey of where I am today, where I want to be one day. And with this, aku actually pun nak ceritakan juga perjalanan aku, journey aku to be where I am today. Okay, so with this podcast kan, it actually helps, hopefully, okay, to people yang who are struggling in life. Okay, be it in all aspects of life korang. Struggling with kau punya marriage, kau pernah fail in life, kau pernah pernah duduk dalam, okay, kau pernah terjebak dengan dadah or whatsoever lah dalam kau punya life. So this is where the word rebuild is the main focus here, where apa-apa yang terjadi dalam past hidup kita, kita kena bangkitkan diri kita. Okay, and aku akan share dengan korang. Of course, disclaimer, aku bukan a consultant. Okay, aku bukan a psychiatrist or whatsoever. But banyak orang actually dah approach aku. Banyak orang tanya aku, San, I think you should start doing a podcast. Okay, sharing your story, your journey. For those yang kenal aku lah, who saw me daripada mana aku dulu dengan di mana aku ada sekarang. Okay, but no, aku far yet from being successful or whatsoever. Okay, aku masih ada banyak lagi impian, matlamat yang aku nak achieve. But by just sharing perjalanan hidup aku, I hope that it could somehow, way or another, it helps to those people out there yang tengah struggle, yang tak ada arah tujuan. Okay, and hopefully that it brings benefit to you guys. Okay, so siapa ni aku ni? Siapa Hassan Rahman sebenarnya? So Hassan Rahman ni, aku an entrepreneur. Okay, aku run a bridal company together with my wife. Okay, and at the same time, aku punya own trading community. Okay, I have a few businesses. I have a limousine business, but that's not the point here. Okay, bukan aku nak bilang yang aku ni dah made it, aku ni successful just because aku ada business. So people cannot see that, oh, aku ni sekarang ada kereta, aku ada ni, ada tu, means aku are living very well right now. But actually, there's a dark past about me yang banyak orang tak tahu. Okay, the struggle that I've been through. In fact, aku believe banyak orang pun struggle gila. And bukan aku nak cakap macam aku ni mana yang bagus sekarang, but with what aku share ni, aku rasa orang akan more or less, diorang akan see a different side and they will see the light at the end of the tunnel. So mana permulaan hidup aku ni start tau actually. Aku dulu, time aku kecil-kecil, aku tak pernah nak terfikir yang satu hari aku akan ada business ke, atau aku akan do well ke, successful ke. I mean, being young boys, usually kita just play around. Kita tak terfikir, kita tak tahu malamat hidup kita. Mungkin yes, some of the kids diorang akan ada, Oh, aku dah besar nak jadi ni, aku dah besar nak jadi tu. But they don't know the purpose. They don't know the matlamat apa yang diorang nak. They don't really understand about goals and what is the purpose of reaching to that goals. Okay, so aku normal boy. Okay, primary school everything is all as per normal. Actually it was until primary 5 where biasalah budak-budak kecil kan, aku dah jumpa orang, then dah start to tak ada minat nak belajar. And aku pun dah start buat benda-benda nakal, buat benda-benda meripik. And then it all started bila primary 6. Okay, aku dah terjebak dengan gangsterism. Ya, aku dah start to terjebak dengan gangsterism. And it is where aku rasa macam that is the permulaan hidup gelap aku bermula. Okay. And bila aku dah start campur ni kan, honestly why aku start bercampur is because yes, dulu memang aku don't have that bonding dengan family aku, especially dengan parents aku. Although they do a lot for me tapi aku tak ada tu macam bonding dengan mak bapak aku, dengan family aku. So of course apa yang aku akan cari? Kawan-kawan aku. Tapi kawan-kawan yang aku pilih itulah kawan-kawan yang bukan, aku bukan cakap diorang jahat lah, it's just that kawan-kawan yang aku pilih ni kawan-kawan yang nakal lah, which aku rasa macam enjoy buat benda-benda yang jahat, buat benda-benda yang nakal. Macam aku lagi enjoy buat benda macam gitu. So after that slowly aku dah start to lari rumah, tak nak balik. Dah start lah main baju here and there. And somehow I don't know along the way, aku dah macam get more into violence. Macam aku suka gaduh. Macam orang cari pasal dengan aku je, aku macam boleh nak lawan balik. And it is actually not pasal aku panas baran. Because for me, honestly, aku tak believe in having hot temper. Ni akulah. Okay, aku tak percaya dengan orang yang ada hot temper. Pada aku, hot temper is macam the more orang cakap kau panas baran, kau dah rasa diri kau hot temper, so kau kena sikit je kau akan mengamuk. So for me, I don't believe in being hot temper. It's just that aku macam just suka gaduh. Aku suka retaliate. So that was me bila aku dulu kecil-kecil. So the more aku campur, the more aku indulge into gangsterism, aku jadi macam very committed to being a real gangster lah. Padahal umur baru anak abu, baru 12 tahun. So when aku punya first journey start bila aku masuk dalam, so it started bila aku dah masuk Sec 1 lah. Bila aku dah masuk Sec 1, and it was a very new environment because aku came from an all boys school. Okay, primary school aku all boys school. Jadi bila aku masuk secondary, semua macam ada secondary aku pula is ada mix lah, boys and girls, right? Jadi environment dia baru, semua lain. And at that point of time, memang aku dah tak minat belajar langsung. Aku dah tak boleh fokus. So aku pun start punting-punting sekolah. Okay. And again, this is not something that I'm proud of, but I'm just sharing, where it all started. So actually, some of you may have heard this story from other podcasts where aku pernah share lah that about this incident. Okay, so there's this one day, aku selalu rumah. Okay, aku selalu rumah. And then there's this one day, aku decided to balik lah. Okay, among all the days, hari tu memang aku decided to balik. So bila aku balik, aku tengah tidur. And then tiba-tiba adik aku balik. Adik aku ketuk. Lepas tu adik aku kejut aku. Dia cakap, Bang adik kena bully lah. Ada orang bully adik lah, dengan satu kawan member dia. And then aku, like I said, aku memang suka retaliate. Aku was very aggressive at that point of time. So at Sec 1, I didn't know what crossed my mind. Aku nak cari weapon lah at 13 years old. Padahal aku boleh setakat turun aja kan. But I don't know why at that point of time aku decided to find a weapon. So and among all the days, yang selalu dapur tu yang ada pisau, hari tu memang tak ada pisau at all. Sekali adik aku pun cakap, abang nanti diorang dah jalan lah, so cepat lah turun. So I came down. Aku turun. So it was about 5 minutes walk away from my home. So bila aku turun tu, ada 2 budak Cina. Dua-dua budak Cina macam abing-abing ini kan. Dia pun dah agresif. Jadi aku pun, biasa lah adik aku kan, I was quite overprotective towards adik aku at that point of time. Jadi bila datang, aku pun tak cakap banyak. Aku pun bedal lah. Aku bedal dia. And bila aku bedal dia, dia tengah pegang handphone. So aku pula don't have the luxury to have a phone. I see my friends having phones, tapi aku tak ada handphone ni semua. Aku tak ada tu luxury lah. Jadi bila aku nampak dia pegang phone tu, aku pun tak nak lah pukul phone tu lah. Takut phone tu pecah, sayang. Because at that point of time, it was a Nokia 3315. And handphone dia memang style lah. So aku campak tepi, aku continue beating that guy. So bila aku dah habis bedal dia, bila aku balik, handphone tu kat bawah. Aku decided to take it. Okay, I took it and then I ran away. So I told my brother, come kita cabut. So the next day, polis naik rumah aku. So polis naik rumah aku, dia terus handcuff aku, hantar aku masuk lock up. So at being 13 years old, aku fikir macam, oh setakat masuk lock up, besok keluar lah. Ni hal kecil je. It's not a serious case. So aku tak ada rasa risau or takut. Aku macam rasa macam this thing is just, I didn't took that incident seriously. Until the investigation officer, dia IO datang kat aku kan. Dia terus cakap dengan aku, you know not, this case apa kau buat ni is a very very serious offence. Dia cakap tu word offence, itu yang buat aku rasa macam, ni serius ni. So bila that word offence tu, memang aku terus dah fikir lah, okay, something bad is going to happen to me. So tu yang dia cakap dengan aku, kau pukul dia satu hal, tapi pasal kau curi dia punya handphone. So pada aku tak curi. Tapi pada dorang, the law states that, you took someone's belonging, it's a theft. And I was charged with robbery with hurt. So tu yang aku dah macam, damn, ni dah macam berat ni. So aku fikir macam boleh keluar lah, boleh bail. Sali actually dia cakap no, there's no bail, kena hantar aku pergi court. So that's why aku dah tahu lah that my life is gonna change after that incident. So aku tak nak be into detail lah of what really happened with that case. Cuma all I can say is that was actually the start of aku punya dark past journey. Because bila aku masuk tu kan, at 13 years old, aku tak pernah terfikir yang aku masuk ni aku akan berubah. In fact, bila aku masuk tu, it actually made matters more worse. So macam banyak orang dia fikir masuk mesum, masuk ni, masuk tu boleh berubah. But I would say it depends lah. Macam majority yang aku kenal selalunya masuk, unlikely diorang akan berubah. But this is where aku nak bilang korang that even if, okay, macam korang ada anak-anak korang ke, anak saudara korang ke, yang diorang sekarang kat dalam boysong ke apa ke, you still have to give your support. Engkau tetap kena visit dia, kau tetap nak kena jumpa dia, kasih dia kata semangat, be there for them. Okay, because that is the stereotype of it. Orang akan fikir, okay, kau masuk boys home je, that's it. Kau tak akan berubah, kau akan keluar masuk for the rest of your life. So this is where kita kena break that mentality. So bila macam time aku, bila aku masuk tu, sama juga aku tahu aku akan berubah. From 13 years old, permulaan hidup aku tu, dia don't just stop at 13, 14. It actually drags until aku 16 tahun. So aku keluar bila umur aku 16 tahun. Bila aku dah keluar umur aku 16 tahun, itu pula adalah permulaan hidup aku, okay, where aku nak start to find a career. But unfortunately, because aku ada tattoo, okay, aku ada tattoo. Dan dulu muka aku semua ada tattoo. Ya, aku ada tiam, aku ada tears. Dulu memang semua, siapa yang kenal aku tahu lah dulu. Aku punya marib, sukun aku dulu kan, orang akan tahu lah. So at that point of time, umur aku 16 tahun, it's not easy to get a job. Dia tak macam zaman sekarang. Macam zaman sekarang, kau senang gila nak dapat kerja. Dulu no, the only kerja yang kau akan ada is KFC, McDonald, atau kau kerja jual sate, macam those kind of job. Itu je yang the job yang kau akan dapat. So aku pula dulu cita-cita aku nak jadi chef. Memang dulu aku nak jadi chef. So bila aku nak kerja sana sini susah, because one thing, aku ada tattoo and aku very young. Aku 16 years old. So banyak benda yang aku tak boleh buat. Tak macam zaman sekarang, you all can do Grab, you all can do Foodpanda atau whatsoever. But dulu time aku, there's no such thing. Jadi bila aku nak kerja, the only job yang aku dapat that point of time was kerja kat kedai basikal dekat East Coast. That was the only job yang aku dapat. $5 per hour, tapi kerja on weekend saja. So aku cuma kerja like 8 hours. So gaji aku like $40. $40 dulu punya rokok was like what? $7, $8. Lepas tu top up EZ-Link dah habis satu hari. So at that point of time it was quite tough lah. But bila aku start nak berubah tu kan, that's where the challenges starts to come, which aku pun was not ready tau. Aku was not ready, that I didn't know that bila nak berubah ni ada banyak halangan dia, that aku have to be ready and be strong to face all that. So that point of time I wasn't ready at all. I was just expecting, apa ada aku buat, kalau tak ada aku give up. That was the mentality I had at that point of time. So that is where, bila aku dah tried so much things but it just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out for me. Banyak benda yang aku nak buat tak boleh, tu tak boleh, macam-macam benda Okay, so itulah bila the time that aku go back to the gangsterism the gangsterism life. And at 16, 17, actually aku pay violence is way much more worse than I was during my 12, 13 or 15 So bila aku dah terlalu sangat fanatic, tu time memang aku punya aggressiveness memang aku tak boleh control. So itulah part, aku dah terlalu sangat banyak gaduh, pergi riot, pukul orang, potong orang sana sini, and then aku kena tangkap lagi. So aku cuma setahun aja kat luar. Lepas aku keluar Boys Home, aku cuma ada setahun je kat luar, aku kena tangkap lagi. And that point of time aku kena hantar RTC. Tapi aku, that point of time aku really thankful aku kena hantar RTC. And I've shared this in the other podcast that kalau that point of time RTC reject aku akan be imprisonment for 7 years and 16 strokes of the cane. And bila aku kena sentence RTC tu, banyak orang, diorang sedih gila. Aku happy gila dapat RTC. Because RTC dia punya sentence standard is 18 months. Kalau kau good conduct tak ada case, tak ada apa. So that is where aku kena masuk RTC. But then bila aku masuk RTC, hidup aku memang come back to square one again It came back to square one again. Because dulu aku high profile. Jadi bila aku masuk RTC, aku was supposed to campur dengan budak RTC. Okay, tapi pasal aku banyak gaduh kan dekat luar, so dekat dalam pun I had a lot of enemies dekat dalam. So aku don't want to be too detailed on that. But it's just that bila aku masuk RTC tu, aku was supposed to campur dengan budak-budak RTC. But because of profile aku high profile at that point of time, aku tak boleh campur diorang. So they brought me to another cluster. So that point of time RTC was at A4, but aku kena transfer pergi A3. It's like a total different cluster. So bila aku dah sampai dekat tu cluster, aku dah macam, itu part aku rasa sedih Like aku literally seorang, tak ada orang, aku tak boleh berbual dengan orang. So yang cluster yang aku duduk tu actually kan, is not with the youth tau. Pasal RTC is youth, it's between 16 to 21. Tapi bila aku masuk this cluster kat A3 ni, itu tempat OP, old people lah orang panggil, means yang 21 and above. So kau imagine, kau tengok kat dalam, macam kita dulu time aku RTC is baju putih, baju putih, seluar putih. Tapi bila aku masuk kat this cluster ni, aku nampak orang baju merah, ada belang merah. So aku dah macam, ni apa kes Semua macam violent je. And the officer came to me, and then the officer bilang aku, kau tak boleh berbual dengan siapa-siapa. Kalau kau berbual dengan siapa-siapa, kau akan kena charge. Siapa-siapa berbual dengan kau pun kena charge. Because aku that point of time was a YP. So diorang semua OP kan. So diorang tak boleh berbual dengan aku. So aku dah macam tak tahu tau. And honestly, at that point of time, aku tak tahu what was the reason aku was placed there. Tak ada orang tahu, officer pun tak nak bilang aku. Until a few months later, officer datang kat aku, cakap dengan aku, oh pasal kau high profile. So kalau aku campurkan kau budak ITC, kau akan gaduh. So aku memang at that point of time, aku berjadi gila lah. Pasal aku seorang, tak boleh campur orang. Aku tak boleh ada outdoor yard. Aku punya only yard was at the day room yard. Still jalan sorang-sorang. So ini case bukan duduk berbual dengan tembok tau. Ini tembok berbual dengan aku tau. So at that point of time, aku dah fikir that ni ke life yang aku nak kena go through? Is this the life that aku kena go through for the rest of my life? And the sad part was, mak aku lah. So mak aku datang. Mak aku memang tak pernah putus visit aku. Okay, mak aku tak pernah putus visit aku. Mak aku sentiasa lah, always, every visit dia akan datang jumpa aku. Mak aku pun tolong pergi dekat QRP, pergi dekat MP, appeal, but nothing can be done. So I think like after my third month kan, aku dah start redha. Aku dah macam just accept lah that aku kena duduk sini for don't know whatever reason. Aku just terima and aku just move on dengan aku punya life. And the sad part is actually right, orang lain, dorang boleh dapat magazine, dorang boleh dapat novel. But for me, aku mikir tak boleh. Aku tak boleh ada novel, aku tak boleh ada whatever books, magazine, which is normally what you will be given time kau dekat dalam lah. And the only books yang aku boleh baca is actually buku agama. That is the only books yang aku boleh baca. So nanti once a month, officer akan bawa satu bakul of buku agama. Dia akan letak, dan nanti dia akan kasih aku pilih. So dia kasih aku pilih lah, okay, kau cuma boleh pilih ni 3. Kau boleh baca these 3 for the whole month. So you must wait for the next month again for you to choose the next 3 books. So aku first bingit gila lah. Macam umur aku macam gini, gangster macam gini, mau baca buku agama. Macam tak style lah. Orang lain semua dapat magazine. Tu time zaman teenage lah, teens lah, magazine 8 days lah. Aku kena baca buku agama. Aku tak boleh terima. It was like, dah lah kena bilik seorang. Dah lah tak ada yard, tak ada apa, tak boleh campur orang. So aku cuma ada buku agama je. And actually kan, the first buku macam aku ambil je lah. Habis dah macam kat dalam, aku dah tak ada benda kan nak baca kan. Aku sampai baca apa tau, toothpaste punya ingredients. Itu lah sampai aku boleh hafal. Dia punya nama, spelling ni semua aku boleh ingat. But until to the extent aku dah macam mendak gila, aku decided lah to baca. And even the books yang office aku kasih aku at that point of time aku random just ambil je. Aku tak ada macam tengok mana yang best-best aku ambil, tak ada. Aku just randomly just take whichever 3 books, aku just ambil je. Because I told myself aku tak akan bacanya bukunya ini. So actually the first book yang aku baca sebenarnya was actually buku Nabi Muhammad. It's a story about Nabi Muhammad. So bila aku dah start baca, aku dah jadi macam exciting juga best juga buku ni. Cerita Nabi SAW aku bila dah baca, aku macam best juga buku ni So aku start baca. And without realizing, aku dah sampai tak sabar. Every month, every week it was every week that aku can choose 3 books. Every 2 weeks, aku boleh choose that 3 books. Aku jadi macam tak sabar, to get another 3 books, to keep reading and then understand more about Islam. So aku start baca without realizing actually aku dah macam taksub. And at that point of time, that's where aku find agama. Okay, it's not pasal dah boring ke, dah tak ada benda nak buat ke, baru nak cari agama. A lot of people macam gitu kan. Diorang cakap kau masuk je solat, keluar tu solat semua lupa. But aku to the extent sampai aku request tau yang aku nak mak aku bawakan aku Quran. And it was not that easy. It took 3 months to get that request approved, to get that Quran masuk. And aku dulu kecil-kecil ngaji, paling tinggi pun Iqra 3. Iqra 2 ke Iqra 3. Mukadam pun tak sampai. Mukadam aku tak sampai. But then aku have this book where dia ada ada Jawi dia dengan Melayu dia. So aku start to slowly see dia punya word Jawi dia dengan Melayu dia, dan aku belajar from there. Surprisingly, aku boleh tiba-tiba tahu macam mana nak baca. Walaupun at that point of time tajwid semua tak betul lah. So macam kuasa Tuhan boleh kasih aku tu kefahaman and to baca the Quran fluently. So aku sendiri surprise dengan diri aku. Macam nak, aku bukan buta huruf, tapi it's just that memang ibarat macam sekarang ni korang nak belajar bahasa Thailand, kau tak tahu nak berbual Thailand, tiba-tiba kau tahu berbual Thailand. So that was how I felt at that point of time. And the more aku go into it, sampai at that one point of time, aku dah at aku 6 months atau 7 months, office aku cakap aku, okay, kau sekarang dah boleh request for novel, dah boleh. Aku tak nak. Aku sampai bilang mak aku, bawakan aku buku ni, bawa all those buku agama. Aku macam tu je yang aku nak. And aku start to practice all the sunat, nak buat benda sunat. Even sunat witir, tahajud, solat hajat, semua, everything semua aku buat. And Alhamdulillah, at that point of time, aku kat dalam, aku was incarcerated alone for 1 year and 4 months. For 1 year and 4 months tau, aku kena bilik seorang. Sorry, for 14 months, aku kena bilik seorang. Dalam tu 14 bulan aku bilik seorang tu, aku dah khatam 4 kali. Tapi aku tak tahu lah if aku will say that the word khatam is right, because I don't know whether tajwid aku tu semua betul. Because at that point of time, aku belum faham sangat pasal tajwid. Okay. Tapi at that point of time, aku dah baca both the punya tafsir semua, sampai 4 kali aku baca. And aku feel happy with myself lah, that aku dah jumpa agama, macam aku solat, macam really solat. Whereas aku tahu, banyak orang cakap, oh ini standard, dekat dalam kau akan solat, kat luar kau tak akan solat meh. Luar tu Allah semua kau lupa. And aku rasa a big change tau with myself. Macam although aku tahu, then betul-betul lagi 4 bulan kan aku nak keluar, that 4 months aku dapat patah balik. Aku dapat patah balik tu RTC. And surprisingly juga, bila aku patah balik tu, it wasn't like how the first time I went into RTC. Macam first time aku masuk, aku macam fanatic. Macam aku dah get ready lah nak gaduh. Macam this time around, bila aku balik, aku dah bilang diri aku reminded myself that aku tak nak gaduh. Aku nak come clean. Aku nak balik. Aku tak nak gaduh. Aku tak nak extend aku stay dekat sini. Which is surprise lah. Macam aku surprise that aku ada that kind of mentality. Whereas dulu aku tak akan ada meh. Aku macam always ready for whatever is coming to me lah. And itulah part bila aku dah patah balik. Ada juga orang macam cik pasang aku, tapi aku macam memang ada rasa nak gaduh. But Tuhan tolong aku where something block it from happening. So aku macam surprise, dah nak gaduh tau. Memang kita dah cakap, okay gaduh, repost it, mesti gaduh ni. Betul-betul nak repost it, something happen. And it happened twice asal aku. Bila nak gaduh je, something happen. So macam tak jadi. So macam aku rasa macam Tuhan ni betul tolong aku at that point of time. And aku bila dah nak keluar, my last month, the final month bila aku dah nak keluar tu betul-betul aku nak jaga kondak. Aku dah nak keluar kan, aku dah keep going in and out daripada 13 tahun, dapat keluar pun 16 tahun, setahun aja, dan 17 tahun masuk balik. Diorang hantar aku course. So the course diorang hantar aku was to learn Microsoft Excel, Words, PowerPoint. Aku belajar tu benda. Itu benda lah yang aku pakai sampai sekarang. Itu benda lah pada aku yang it is worth much more than a degree or a diploma. Because aku suka buat benda tu, and benda tu lah yang aku pakai dengan business aku sekarang. In all business aku buat sekarang, and in fact, apa-apa business yang orang buat kat luar pun, they will always use this Microsoft. So aku have that. Dah ibarat macam aku have like a degree or a bachelor lah. So itulah yang aku pakai. And Alhamdulillah, aku able to be released from RTC. serving 18 months. Means aku tak payah tambah, tak payah apa. And aku able to release from ITC at the 18 month. And that is where aku start aku punya life, a new journey after aku pergi ITC. And aku will share dengan korang on the next episode. Okay guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys to the next episode. Ciao.